Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Welcome to the podcast and posse, ProjectME with Tiffany Carter. I'm your host, Tiffany, and today we're going to bring some male energy to the show. You know I have on male guests, but I'm highly selective about when I do because you know they have to be Tiff Carter approved. And this gentleman is. I have on today Adam Flores. He's a revolutionary leader in business. He is the CEO and founder of Dream Factory Co., the best-selling author of the book Art of Social Influence. And he also has a really cool formula for business that I've never heard of anything like it. And he's going to share it with you guys today on the show exclusively for my ProjectME audience. What's up, Adam?
What's going on? It's great to be here.
So first off, for the people who are listening who don't know you, give us a little bit of your journey. Obviously, you just don't all of a sudden like make millions a year and pop out of nowhere. So what happened?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up financially struggling, raised by a single mom. And so I made a decision that I was going to go into business because as I saw a lot of the people who had success financially, they all had businesses. And so I went to school for business. That was going to be my goal, is to just go to school for 4 years, get my degree. And so I was in school working at Starbucks. And while I was making Frappuccinos, some lady said, "Hey, you'd be great at sales." So that was my introduction to direct sales. So I started doing direct sales, except I was horrible. I didn't look the way I do today, didn't sound the way I do today. I wore oversized suits. I had a pencil-thin mustache that ran across my upper lip.
No, you did
18.
not.
I looked like I was 13. It was all bad. Yeah. And I dealt with so much rejection, just constantly connecting. I was doing all the things my mentors were telling me to do, from read books to networking to developing relationships, but I just wasn't the person yet. And so I was at a point after 3 years, I still had made no progress where financially I was like still working my jobs, still not able to be my own boss full time. And I was just ready to finish college and just go the traditional route until one of my friends discovered Facebook ads. And he's like, "Adam, I think this could be our route." And so I got into Facebook ads when it was 1 cent a click, which was, yeah, like I was one of the original that during that time. And so we crushed it. I went from scratch to doing over $1 million in sales by 23. And then people started asking me, "Adam, how did you do it? How did you do it?" So I began mentoring people. The only thing was that business, I was selling somebody else's product. And so I had to be able to follow my passion and go down a different route. And so I had to start from scratch. And so then I went through all the struggles of running a business. I had to create my own programs. I had to generate leads, make the sales. And then I got stuck. Okay, how do I scale this now? Because now it's all my personal brand. How do I scale my personal brand now? Because everything is revolving around me, and entrepreneurs who are listening can totally relate to this. And so then I had to go into building team and then replacing myself and then being able to build the systems to be able to scale and grow. And so fast forward to today, we have a full team that is able to run the show. And I just focus on really just getting my message out and helping more people. So
Wow, I love this. First of all, I also worked at Starbucks. What's up?
Stop it. Are you
Yes, in
serious?
high school and college. And I literally worked there because I knew I couldn't afford that damn coffee. And I like had a full on like cafe mocha habit.
Stop it. That is crazy. What are the chances of that? Well, then you'll really appreciate this. I actually used to do Starbucks wraps in the drive-through.
Damn.
Want to hear one?
Yeah, I do.
Thank you for choosing your Starbucks in Northern San Bernardino. I can make you a tea latte or a frappuccino. If you're looking for a drink, you come to the right place. What can Adam make to put a smile on your face?
Oh, hells yes. You worked it for those tips.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we had to do it.
I love that shit. I love that. I'm the one who came up with, like, I don't even know how I came up with it, but in high school, you know, you have to put out when you work at Starbucks and a lot of other places, but you have to put out the tip jar. And they would just put out this empty tip jar. But from working the register and stuff, I noticed we'd get more tips when there were already tips in the tip jar. So we had a whole thing then where we primed the tip jar every morning so that it like
leave a few dollars in there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you gotta prime that shit. Oh my God.
Testing way back in the day before you knew it.
Oh my God. I love it. And I was early on Facebook ads too, but not as early as you. Wow. That's a great story. So when you say direct sales and you were starting to do that, what do you mean by direct sales for people who don't know what that means?
Yeah. So I was selling everything from insurance. I failed at that. I started selling green products, failed at that. Started selling communication services, failed at that. And then I made it in the health and wellness space selling memberships. So that was the key win. The only thing is I realized one day, oh my gosh, I'm selling like vitamins and home care line. Like this isn't truly what I'm like, that makes me feel alive. And that's where I had to make that pivot.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. And I know a lot of the entrepreneurs who are more seasoned who listen. It's like we may have found something that really caught on that made, you know, a lot of money, which we all love money and that's great. But at a certain point, that's not enough, is it, to like light you up to keep you going? I know for people who are broke asses who are listening, you're like, you guys are ridiculous. Like, I just want to make like, you know, $2,000 a month or $5,000 a month. But at a certain point, I promise you guys, like money is not enough. Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I always say there's 3 levels of motivation, you know, when we're building a business. The first level is money and things. So if you haven't experienced that yet, it's your first priority. You want to be able to make enough money to not have to worry about the bills. You want to be able to travel. You want to be able to experience the finer things, go to France, experience the ambiance, the people, the things, being able to travel, being able to take care of your friends and family. So that money piece is a big motivation in the beginning. But then you move past that into the second phase, which is significance. And significance is where you really want to prove people wrong, that, you know, all the people who said you couldn't do it, you want to show them you can. You want to prove to yourself that you can do something great with your life and do something big. And then the third phase is, you know, you move past the ego and you move into purpose, where a lot of times people will describe this as your why, but it's really not the why you want to be successful. It's the why other people need you. And then you realize you have gifts and you're here for a purpose to help people, and you get a heart for a group of people. And now your business is heart-centered. And every day you wake up to do your mission to help people make impact. And so that's the ultimate goal, is to become, you know, really purpose-driven. And then the money and the significance is just a byproduct, you know, of living out your passion.
Do you feel it has to go in that order, or do you feel you can start out, you know, you can start out creating a business that's purpose driven?
Yeah. So it's not necessarily a sequential order. It's just the depth of motivation. So the purpose is the deepest human drive that's out there. It's lasting, right? But you can still be in purpose and still be motivated by money and significance, right? But the goal is to purify, to get to a place where you're truly rooted in purpose. And that's the highest level of human drive.
I love that. What do you see and what have you experienced as being the biggest challenges of going from selling other people's products? Like, my guess is you do what I actually still do for passive income, is you ran ads to affiliate products that converted and you made money all night long while you were sleeping, right?
Yeah, it was, yeah, exactly, exactly. So the biggest challenge was being able to get out of areas that I needed to do to keep the business healthy, but that just dragged me down, right? Like I didn't want to get stuck doing lead generation all the time, and then doing sales, and then helping clients, and then just repeating that cycle over and over. It just got tiring because not only did I feel flatline, like I wasn't increasing, but I just felt like I was in this hamster wheel of just the same activities over and over and over again. So one of my mentor told me, she's my first 7-figure mentor I ever had. She says, Adam, she says, you know what your problem is? And I said, what? She says, everything revolves around you. I said, okay, great. Well, how do I change that? She said, you have to stop asking when you wake up, how do I generate a lead? How do I make a sale? She said, start asking yourself, who can generate the lead with me? Who can make the sale with me? She says, and then you begin to duplicate your efforts, and you have other people that are then helping you do the activities that you may not be the strongest in, so you can stay focused in your zone of genius. And for me, that's getting my message out and getting my story. That's why I became an entrepreneur. But I got stuck in the back end doing all these other activities that it was not fun. It was dragging me down. And so I had to learn how to build team. And that was the biggest challenge, is getting out of those thoughts. Like, can I really replace myself? Can I really teach someone to do what I do? Can somebody really do what I do? Right? And all the limiting factors that go with, building a business. And so I had to really get over myself. And that was a hard thing.
Well, especially, when you have a personal brand, it's like, well, who knows the brand and who can sell the brand better than you when you have a personal brand? But if you don't look at it like how Adam is, describing, what ends up happening is you become a prisoner of your own brand. You might as well go be an employee because...
Right. You're just yourself. That's it. Totally.
You're in it. And, I, like you, I have another company that I've had for 11 years, and that's my 7-figure business. But that wasn't lighting me up anymore either. So I started, ProjectME with Tiffany Carter as my way of giving back and sharing my story and helping millions of people, right? And I was like, okay, I'm very aware of what it takes to start a business and grow a business. And I was like, I've got this. Not like I was cocky, but it's like, listen, I've done this shit long enough. Like, I know what to expect. I know the holes, whatever. And then I started laughing because once I was in it, even if you guys have had the level of entrepreneurship experience like Adam and I have had, when you open a new business, it is a different animal. Like this personal branding space was a different animal, to the point where I still laugh sometimes. I'm like, even hiring people. And I definitely want to talk about like, hiring the right team with you. It's like even hiring people for a different type of business is night and day different. It's like shockingly different to me. I've made a lot of mistakes in this business as well. So what are some key things you can share with people, important things that they need to be looking for in order to build a team so they're able to have that freedom and focus on their message and creating and not be stuck in that hamster wheel?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it starts off with positioning. So a lot of times, let's say, for example, use coaching as an example. You can position yourself as a coach. So let's say that your website is amandacoach.com, right? Let's say that was your website. So what happens is everything's revolved around you. So it's very difficult to build a team around that because everybody wants to talk to Amanda. So what you do is you build your personal brand, amandacoach.com, and you put your program name when you start, or if you're more mature, you put your company underneath your personal brand. And so now what happens is that when you meet people, you give them your Amanda Coach brand, because that's the personal one-to-one connection, human to human. But when it comes to promoting your services and programs, you promote your company brand. And so now when they reach out, like for example, I'm Flores.com, but underneath that is my dreamfactoryco.com. So when we hire, when we train, when we offer services, it's always underneath the company name. So that way we can say, we can help you versus Adam can help you. Right?
I love it.
That's the key pivot that people have to make. And a lot of coaches are struggling with replacing themselves because everything is around their personal brand. They haven't yet built a program underneath their brand or as its own company. Right? And so that's a key. So you have both of those together that coexist. That's going to be key in positioning. Now, as far as building team, I made a lot of mistakes because I found people who were talented, but just because you find people who are talented doesn't mean that they're a right fit for your team. And so after failing multiple times going through different teams, I came up with these 3 rules that help us really build a great team. And the first one of them is LQ. We want to find people with a high love quotient. So what the love quotient is somebody who's willing, they're willing to give, they're willing to serve. They have a big heart to help. And that is huge because that creates atmosphere, that creates an environment where everyone's willing to serve each other and there's not entitlement and ego that's getting in the way of running the business, right? So that's one thing is LQ. Then when we hire off of EQ is the emotional intelligence, the ability to be able to sense how maybe a customer or client is feeling and be able to connect with them and have intuitive instincts to know how to respond. It may not be in the training manual, but you have the intuitive instincts on how to communicate effectively to that client. So that's EQ. And then IQ is the actual skill set. How good are you at your actual job, right? How good are you at your actual role? And so we hire based off of those three things, LQ, EQ, IQ. And what it's done is create an amazing culture within our team where everyone just is like, we're so close, we're so connected, we serve each other, we help each other, we don't complain, we're not entitled, we just continue to give and give because we believe that together, if we put our egos aside, we can build something bigger together than we can apart. And so that is culture, right? And that's key when building out a team because you can have a lot of talent. I've done it, right? Good people who do the job, but they don't fit, then it causes more problems and it creates instead of creating solutions. You know?
Oh God, good Lord. Amen to that. I've had that issue a few times. So given that really Dream Factory Co., I mean, you founded it. This is an extension of yourself. How do you balance infusing yourself into your Dream Factory brand, yet separating yourself enough to where the people aren't wanting Adam all the time?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So the way that this works is you have to, well, first of all, it's how you utilize those tools. So for example, if I am promoting a speaking engagement, I'm going to use my personal brand because I want them to book me. That's an activity I want. That's what makes me feel alive. Like for example, booking this podcast with you, we're sending our personal brand so you can see more about who I am. I want to do this interview with you. But if it's something where I want my team to handle, I will leverage the Dream Factory up front. So when people see a program or company, then they're like, okay, I want to know who's behind this, right? And so it's all about changing the language. So I was stuck always saying, I can help you build your business. I can help you get leads. I can help you grow your social media. Right. So we had to change language to we can help you. Yeah, we have a great team. The way that this looks like is when you get started, and this is called pre-framing. You have to pre-frame them to what to expect. So you say, when you get started with our team, we're going to help walk you step by step. In fact, I'm going to give you our best person. They're so talented. They specialize just in this area of, let's say, for example, branding. They're going to help you build your brand. They're going to help you get your programs up and ready, and they're going to help you launch successfully. Then you're going to work with our copywriter. Our copywriter is going to help you get your message out. You're going to work with our lead designer, and they're going to help you with that. So you're going to be in great hands. And so I'm excited to bring you on board. I'm going to get you started with Elise, who's going to take care of you. And you'll go ahead and get that intro text to set up your first call together. Boom. So it's about pre-framing and being able to hand them off to a team. And there's a saying out there, and it's saying 100. It's better to have 100% of someone else work with your clients than have 5% of you work with your clients because you're spread so thin.
Yeah.
Right. So then you start realizing, wow, they can actually do a better job than I can because they can fully devote their time to making that client feel heard, special, seen. Versus the entrepreneur, if I'm trying to generate leads, make sales, help clients, I'm spread so thin, I may not be giving that client everything that they need to be successful because my mind is scattered, right? So being able to trust is another big thing, and that comes from interviewing the right people and training really well, and you start to really get confidence in your team.
And this is so important. Some of you guys listening might go, God, that's really far off for me. Like, you might actually even get a rash when you hear people be like, my team. You're like, it's just me. But we both started out solo as well. So I want you guys to be thinking ahead going, okay, I get what Adam's saying. What other company name can I create? And how can I take myself somewhat out of this equation for the future? Because let me tell you, at some point, you are going to be totally burned out on handling the number, if you're good at what you do, the number of clients that come your way. So let me ask you this. When you're still getting people coming to you, because again, you're out there the most. So they attach you to it and they're like, I need your help with my business. I want to start this. I have a dream, blah, blah, blah. Do you still do any sales calls? Or have you replicated that in someone on your team for someone else to do sales calls for you?
Yes. So both. So I love to take sales calls and close bigger deals. I love closing 10K deals and up, right? That's an activity that I enjoy. I'm weird like that. But we also have a team that also makes sales as well. So I'll give you an example too. We just had our event that we just passed. We have an annual event once a year. And it was so awesome because this is the first time I didn't fill my own event. Our sales team filled the event. So I literally got to just focus on my content and I was able to go on stage. Our event manager, Jessica, she killed the event. It was amazing. So I literally just I got on stage, shared my content. We did $250,000 in sales for the weekend. I was happy. I was like, okay, good. And then I got off stage. And then now we get to help the clients. The team gets to work with the clients from the event. So I know, that there's a lot of people on here who are not there yet. They're not there yet. But I want to say this. If you're a listener to this podcast and you want to build a 7-figure business, it requires a team. And that's the difference between getting from 6 figures to 7 figures. It is a team effort. And I think a lot of times marketers make it seem like you can just run an ad to a webinar, get onto an online course, scale to the 7-figure business. And the reality is that is a false dream. Even running that business requires an ad manager, a digital marketer in the background, years of experience, a copywriter. So you need a team if you want to scale. And so it's okay to be able to listen to this podcast and say, you know what, I'm okay being a solopreneur. If that's where you're at, it's all about self-awareness. And maybe you just have a few contractors help you out. The key is to stay in your zone of genius and do the things that make you feel alive. And so I said that there's different types of personalities out there. There's the empire builder who wants to build a big empire, right? They want to be able to build team. They want to get tons of clients, have unlimited growth, lift the lid off their business. Then there's also the community builder. The community builder says, I don't really care to grow big. I just want to have an intimate tribe of people that I can connect with, right? Then there is the solopreneur. Solopreneur just wants to be able to make cool posts on social media, maybe work with a couple clients and they're happy and they're good. There's the lifestyle builder. The lifestyle builder wants to go to just design a beautiful lifestyle. They want to travel and take photos and build a business around their life, right? That's the lifestyle builder. And so I think being able to determine which one you are and being able to build that out is what's important here. And that's what building a smart business is all about. Smart business is an acronym that I came up with, and it stands for a scalable, mission-driven business that's automated with revenue stream run by team. And so your team may look like a couple contractors doing things you don't want to do. Or your team may look like a full-on staff that's running an empire, right? So being able to have self-awareness and accept and say, you know what, I realize that if I want to get to 7, okay, then I got to be in alignment. I got to build a big team. If I want to just stay at 6, hey, I can do it on my own. And that's okay too, right? So that self-awareness piece is huge in this equation when we're talking about building business models and scaling and growing, because at the end of the day, you have to know what you're looking for.
What would you say that Dream Factory Co. specializes in? Because, I'm sure you could help all the people, but what is Dream Factory's zone of genius?
Yeah, so our zone of genius is taking that solopreneur and helping them scale to become the entrepreneur. So how we do that is we have people come in. So we have a full team that works with you. So we help you build out your brand. We design your business model for you by creating a blueprint. And then we actually build the systems for you to be able to scale. And then we're coaching you
and
through that.
When you say systems, so my listeners understand what you mean. What do you mean by systems?
Yeah. So for example, let's say right now you're working one-to-one with your clients. You only get clients by getting on a phone call. But maybe you don't have webinars set up to be able to reach one-to-many. So we'll build the digital marketing systems to be able to launch your webinars. We'll help you be able to develop your affiliate links so that you can have ambassadors promote your programs. Right? We'll be able to create the tracking pixels for your ad campaign so that you can retarget people. So all of the online marketing piece that allows you to go from one-to-one to one-to-many, that's what we specialize in, and building the full brand behind it. So I'll give you an example. We had one of our clients come to us, and she flew into our studios here in LA. We have a studio in the Fashion District. So she had nothing. She was starting completely from scratch. She wanted to be a coach. So we helped her build her brand. We did her photography. Our designer did handcraft design, built out her web development, her integrations, and then helped her build her first program to be able to market her first online program. So we put all that together for her, and we helped her do a pre-launch. She made over $10,000 her first pre-launch with us. Super excited because she never made money online. Then we helped her build out her funnel, her first funnel, because she had never done that before. And we were leading people into a downloadable PDF that talked about emotional intelligence. And then from there, began building her email list. And then once that got to a good size, we marketed her first webinar. From there, she began getting a lot of clients in her programs. And then she launched her first retreat. And so now she's doing retreats. Then she landed speaking engagements. Now she has partnerships. Now she's scaling her business. And so we built all of those elements, and it's all one team in-house, and everything is seamless and aligned. So that's what the Dream Factory is we're there to help you build, launch, and scale your brand online. And that's what we specialize in.
How does someone know if they're ready? Let's say they know, okay, like I know I'm an empire builder, right? Like we've talked about, earlier on, like, and anything's okay, but you just need to be honest with yourself. Not everyone has to, build an empire. Like that doesn't make you less than, or your company less important or anything like that. Or you being selfish that you want to, get paid to travel the world. Like be honest with yourself. So let's say for the empire builders that are listening and they're in that spot, like you said, like they're making, I don't know, let's say they're making 8 to 12,000 a month. They're in that range because that's where I notice is that sticky spot for a lot of people going to the next step. So that range, how do they know that they are ready to consider making, an investment and working with a company like Dream Factory Co? Because I know it's not cheap. It's a significant investment. So what are some good questions, I guess, for them to ask themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to kind of back up on that, we have programs as low as $197 a month for really great coaching. And that's where we're live every week. And we have different classes. So if you want to learn leads and sales, you can jump in that class. If you want to learn funnels, you can jump in that class. So we have great educational tools. And then we have the done for you services that can cost a bit more, from $5,000 all the way up to 25,000 plus to build out some of those systems. So as far as what you should be asking to know if you're ready for that, I think that the number one thing is clarity. That's what you should be asking. Am I clear on what I'm building? And do I want a team to help me build it? And so if you're not clear on how to get to the next level of your business, that's the very first step that we help you with, is get clarity. We give you a blueprint that you can have. And then what's cool about this blueprint is that you can either take this blueprint and utilize it yourself and go build it yourself, or you can have our team help you build out the blueprint. So the cool thing is like you get a path of clarity to be able to put that blueprint together. And that's a must have if you're an entrepreneur, whether you're making $3,000 a month and you want to get to $5,000 a month, or whether you're at $20,000 a month and you want to get to $50,000 a month. You need a clear pathway, and having someone who knows how to be able to structure that is so helpful to your journey. So every day you wake up, you're in alignment with what you're doing.
Yeah, you guys have, like I say, it's like if you have, GPS in your car, and I'll use LA as an example, because if someone tells me like, oh, I live in LA, it's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like LA is the largest county in the United States. Like it means nothing to me. Right. So you tell your GPS, right? Like, take me to Los Angeles. Like God only knows where you're going to end up, because you're not being specific. But if you say, take me to Santa Monica, right? You'll be taken to Santa Monica. Santa Monica is pretty big. But if you want to go to the pier, take me to Santa Monica Pier, you're going to get like a straight shot. So it's very, similar when it comes, I use a lot of analogies on the show, but it's very similar when it comes to this blueprint he's talking about. If you don't have that mapped out, and you don't have to do it yourself if you don't know how to do it, not everyone does, but if you don't have a clear blueprint on where you're going, where in the hell are you going to end up?
Exactly.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Would you get in your car? I mean, I guess unless you like joyride, if anyone does that anymore. But I mean, would you just like get in your car and drive and have no idea like where you're going and no idea? Like it makes zero sense, right?
Right. And I think a lot of times people try and figure it out on their own, which is okay too. Like you can take that path. But if you can have a mentor who's been there and done that, like there's so many reference points. Like you also have to consider, like we have a lot of data because this all we do is launch businesses. So we're able to see what people buy. We're able to see what is working. We're able to see what's we're able to test things and be able to bring that data back to our clients. And so the chances of you having success are so much higher because this is all we do. We launch businesses every day. So we're able to see what the market is doing. And so that's a huge advantage to somebody who's just by themselves, who's like, I think I want to try this. Let me see if this works. Then it costs time, it costs money to build out that vision. And then if you don't know what you're doing, you may not be able to stick through it. And then you end up having to, that's the part where you have to fail over and over and over again until you figure it out. So mentorship is key. You got to have that mentorship.
So since you have all this data, I love like channeling. I'm very intuitive, so I like channel what my listeners want me to ask. And, so many of us do, end up in the scroll hole of Instagram, right? And especially, entrepreneurs, they're multi-passionate. They want to get somewhere. They see so many people who are claiming they're at where they want to be. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. We don't know. And some people just seem like they've just blown it out of the water really quickly. Now, some of those people I actually know, and there are some people who have had a lot of success in a rather short period of time. What have you seen out of, all the, I'm sure, hundreds of people you work with? What are some of the common traits of entrepreneurs, brand builders that have the most success?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the brand builders that have the most success are the ones who are willing to make sales. As crazy as that sounds, it's probably not the answer.
Not to me, but yeah.
And the reason why is because 80% of your business until you get to about 250,000 is doing sales, and a lot of people don't realize that. So you have to be able. So the goal is to learn how to not be salesy, to stay authentic and be able to sell effectively. And so if you're willing to do that either through social media, through writing, through emails, through webinars, through speaking, you have to pick your pathway of what we call an OSP, which is your optimal selling process that fits your zone of genius. And you have to be bold enough to put yourself out there. Without that, no plan anyone can draw out can help you succeed. You have to be willing to sell some way, somehow, because that's what being your own boss ultimately comes down to when you're just starting out.
See, you guys, I did not tell him to say this. This is like, I preach this hard. That's what I teach. Like I'm hired, I go to big corporations and I teach my emotional based sales techniques, like how you can sell in a way that feels good to you. Because we cannot, you could create for them. I could create for you guys like an amazing multi-million-dollar blueprint. Right. But if you don't learn a sales process that feels good to you, that converts, none of that shit matters, right?
Right. 100%. That's right.
So you would say that the entrepreneurs that you have helped, that you have seen have the most success, I guess you could say the fastest, are the ones that have embraced and gone for the sell.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You got to be able to do that. And a lot of times people think it's like these gimmicky conversations, and it's not that way. In fact, I think selling is one of the highest forms of love in business. People go, what, Adam, how's that possible? Well, you got to think about it. in order to truly sell somebody, you have to be willing to get like over your own fears, over your own anxieties, get over the thoughts of what they think about you, put all of your needs aside and just truly focus on understanding them where they're at and being vulnerable in that moment to say, wow, this person really needs help. I'm going to put myself out there and offer something to help them. And whether they say yes or whether they say no, that's up to them. But all you can do is offer that and extend yourself to offer that solution. And so that is a form of kindness. Kindness is a form of love, and in love, there's no fear, right? So the more you can operate out of that place, like we talked about in the beginning, of purpose, right? And in love, the less fear you have. The more you're operating out of a place of what can I get from this? How much money can I make from this? That's when you start, getting focused on self, and that's where fear loves to live. And that's where it becomes very difficult.
It's so challenging for people because it's like, well, listen, Adam and Tiffany, like my mortgage payment or my, rent or, whatever it is, my car payment is dependent on me making, having X many clients, that I coach or that I train a month, or X many people buying my course or whatever it is. And so how am I supposed to lie to myself? This is literally what people say to me. How am I supposed to lie to myself that it's not about the money and I don't care about the money. I only care about the people, when if I don't have the money, I don't have the business and I'll be homeless.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. So the way I like to think about this is like this. If I were to ask them, if you gave a homeless man something to eat, would you be afraid that he would reject you if you were to offer him, let's say, a sandwich? No. The answer is no. You wouldn't think about being rejected, right? But if I said, go ask that person for money, all of a sudden you start freaking out, right? And it's because you're focused on what's in it for you. See, people have a bad association that asking for money is a bad thing. But what you're actually doing is giving to somebody. And when they invest, they're actually doing something for themselves, because now they're putting value into what's important to them, which means they're living in alignment with their goals. So you're actually doing somebody a favor when they're able to invest into something that's going to be in alignment with their goals. So as our job in sales is to find out what it is that they want, because once they tell you what they want, you're no longer pushing anything. Your job is to help them get that, which is leadership. Right. So I think where the fine line is leadership and manipulation have a very fine line. Manipulating is getting somebody to do something that they don't want to do. And leadership is helping people get to a place that they do want to get to. And so the only way you can truly come from a place of service is asking so many good questions to find out what they want, that the person you're literally just like, you can't help but want to help them get there with what you've created and what you've in your programs or services that you're offering. So that's what makes sales fun, is you just get addicted to helping people get what they want. And
the money is a byproduct. I mean, unless you're, even if you're running a nonprofit, you need to make sales.
Correct. And I remember being stuck at I was charging $300 for a whole month of coaching when I first started.
Holy shit.
I know, it was so bad. I had no idea. Right. And then getting to that place where it's like, okay, it's $50,000 to work with me one-on-one. It's like, whoa. And then we landed our first $75,000 client. So it's like, this is those jumps are like huge jumps in Roblox. And then you start realizing, whoa, it doesn't matter if you're asking for $5,000 or $50,000 or $75,000. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have something of value to bring that's going to help them. And the more confident that you do that again and again and again, you start to realize wow, the impact that my program is making is worth way more than that. But I'm glad I can give it to them at this price, and now they're invested and they're committed.
Yeah. And it needs to be a price that feels good to you, not safe. I didn't say safe because that doesn't mean it's not scary. I'm sure, Adam, when you went from charging $300 and maybe you went up to, I don't know, maybe you increased it to $1,000 or something.
$1,000, exactly. That was
and you were tripping hard.
2,000.
Yeah.
Yep. And 5,000, then 7,500, the 10. That was my pathway up. And every time I was like, oh my gosh, somebody bought it.
Yeah. You're so tripping. Excited. So it doesn't mean it's going to feel safe. It's going to feel scary, but it feels good, meaning in integrity. Correct. You feel what you are helping that person with, that is a very fair and reasonable value exchange for that help. That's Correct. How I describe it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to be in alignment with that. So that's so cool that you do that kind of work because it's so needed. You got to be comfortable with sales because it doesn't matter what business model you have. It's driven by sales. And then the goal is to have people be able to sell with you. And so that way you can have more leverage and you can help them get to their goals and then you get to your goals. So
you guys, you heard it from someone else. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I don't even know how we went down this path, but I'm thrilled that we did. If people want, access to you or to like hear more of your wisdom, number one, you have a best-selling book, The Art of Social Influence. So where can they get that book?
Yeah, they can actually go to either theartofsocialinfluence.com. They can type it into Amazon. You can even find it at my personal site, adamimoflores.com. Just click on the book tab.
And for people who are listening that are like, you know what? I know I'm right at that spot where I need help growing this thing and I want help and I'm ready. Now what happens? How do they contact the Dream Factory?
Yeah, so go to dreamfactoryco.com and then you're going to see a button that says schedule a demo. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a free demo of what is possible for the next step for you. And we're going to show you real examples of clients that we've been able to help to show you what could be next for you. In fact, with that, there's a blueprint that we'll do with you. And we're going to be on the call for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes with you. And we're going to give you a clear game plan, an overview of what you should be doing next to take your business to the next level based off of what industry you're in, what we've seen work. And so you can have the most probable pathway to success. It's an absolute must. It's an experience. After people get this blueprint, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. This is amazing. It's phenomenal. It is a must have if you're an entrepreneur. And then after that, if you want to be able to move forward with our team, great. And if not, that's okay too. But at least you'll have your blueprint and you can get some clarity in perspective.
Well, it's very generous to offer that, you guys. So, I mean, certainly respect his time and his team's time. But if right now when you're listening, like you feel something in there, like you're like, fuck yes, like it's time. If you have that feeling, definitely go to dreamfactoryco.com and take advantage of the demo and end up with a blueprint. Like it's crazy what resources are out there and it's on you if you don't take advantage of it. If you guys loved this episode and you're all fired up, do me a favor, take a screenshot, share it on social media and tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Adam, what is your Instagram handle?
It's Adam, IMOB Flores. Adam, IMOB Flores.
And if you guys are driving or doing some crazy multitasking that I know all of you do, you have my Instagram already memorized. So just tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. I'll make sure I share it in stories and I tag Adam so that he knows you also got a lot out of the episode and you're fired up. This is a great way to also like share with your team. If you're on a network marketing team or you're in any kind of like direct sales like Adam used to be or in affiliate sales, this is a perfect episode to share with your team to get them fired up, especially people who have like a lot of noise and a lot of fear around sales and really going for it and building a business. This will go a long way in helping those people. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories and your like Starbucks wrap. I'm dying. I mean, all I did was like, I had like a cute high pony and I smiled and I got a tip. But I mean, I know guys have to work a little harder for it.
You had to put some, extra wraps in there to get some tips.
Oh my God, dying. I love it. Well, thanks for coming on. This is great.
You got it. Thanks so much, Tiffany, for having me. It's been awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.